Hey guys, so yesterday Blizzard announced that we are going to be voting on which tier set we are going to be using in Season 4. So that's very different from anything they've ever done before. In Shadowlands Season 3, we kept that same set bonus as we moved into Season 4. Weren't any real choice about it, we just carried that over. But now we're getting a chance to vote on which one we want to use, either Season 1, Season 2, or Season 3, and that poses quite an interesting discussion for Elemental Shaman specifically. But before we get into that, let's get all on the same page. I'll go ahead and just read this out. In Dragonflight Season 4, we're going to try something new. We're preparing a remixed set of gear for each specialization. To determine what that means for each class and spec, we're asking you to vote for your favorite class look and your favorite specialization set bonuses from the first 3 seasons of Dragonflight. This means that in Season 4, a Demon Hunter might vote for a set that has the look of Season 1, with the Season 2 set bonus for Havoc, and the Season 3 set bonus for Vengeance. So you can have different specs having different season set bonuses all in one, kind of like a build a set for your class, which is really nice. You're not having to, the elementals aren't like shaking their fists at enhance and restos shaking their fist at both of them for choosing the wrong one. They're all separate from each other, so you can vote on a per spec basis. That's very nice that they're able to do that. We've opened a poll for every class and every spec. You can vote now on your favorites, and the winners will determine what we build into the in-game for Season 4. Please keep in mind that we're going to update the power of the set bonuses to match the increased power of the new gear in Season 4, so any bonuses you choose will be tuned to be as strong as any other. Take that last bit with a grain of salt. If you feel like they've done a pretty good job with that, overall they've done a fairly good job of keeping things fairly balanced, but it's not always, the grass isn't always greener, so such to say. So if you come down here on this post, and I'll have both the EU and the US forum posts in the description if you want to check that out as well. So when you get a chance to vote, we can come down here to elemental spec bonuses, and you're just given a choice of 3 different ones: Season 1, Season 2, and Season 3. Now, let's talk about what this means for Elemental Shaman, because I feel like there's quite a bit to talk about here. So, obviously, everyone is fairly aware of what Season 3 Elemental is like at this point. Everyone's had a chance to play around with it. I assume most people at this point have the 4 set. If you're watching this video, if you're interested enough about Elemental-specific content, you probably have it. And the shortcomings and bonuses that it brings. So here's the real debate right now: is Season 3 has its haters and it has its defenders, and same with Season 2. And Season 1, on the other hand, is kind of like build agnostic. So Season 3 very much heavily favors a fire build. You can't really make an argument to play anything else other than fire because it's so heavily tied into Primordial Wave. Everything in that tier set for Season 3 revolves around Primordial Wave. You basically have to have it, otherwise you just are not capable of interacting with the tier set. You're not going to be able to do any kind of damage if you don't take Primordial Wave, which basically means that you're forced into fire builds as a whole. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I want to point that out. If you enjoy the fire builds, that's your own prerogative, but you are limited greatly on what you can play because of it. Season 2 has a very similar situation, but it swings in the opposite direction. One of the things I always say is Elemental has turned, in Dragonflight, it has turned into 2 specs living in one spec's body, where you have the fire side and you have the lightning side, and it's very hard to get a good mix of both. It can kind of be done, like, for instance, with the Razagath build. I'm probably dating myself, even though that was only like a year ago. I'm sure some people don't know what that build looks like, but there are ways that you can mix the two. It's just very hard to get a good balance of both. So going to the Season 2 build, it is very lightning heavy, the left side of the tree heavy. And those talents, while maybe less as egregious as the ones in Season 3, the Season 2 ones still very much push you in the direction of a more lightning-focused build. And one of the staples for any kind of lightning build is Ice Fury, which is something that seems to be a big detractor for a lot of people. A lot of people don't like playing with Ice Fury, even though in AoE it matters most of the time next to nothing. Like, most of the time you're just ignoring it completely, especially in mass AoE. It really starts only mattering in like 3 targets, but even then people just don't want to deal with it. And I totally understand it if you're one of those people who just don't like Ice Fury and therefore you're just more attracted to fire builds. But that's just kind of how it is. So Season 2, very lightning focused. Season 3, very fire focused, not even focused, required. But season 1 is something different, and I will I don't blame you. I don't blame you. That's what I'll say. If you don't remember what the season 1 set bonus was, because it's very boring, this is how I think they would implement it if we chose season 1, which is basically every single time that you cast Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, or Lava Burst, it increases the damage of your next Elemental Blast, Earth Shock, or Earthquake by 5%, stacking up to 5 times. And then the 4 set being casting Elemental Blast, Earth Shock, or Earthquake increases your mastery by 7.5% for 5 seconds. Very, very boring set bonus. However, this set bonus allows you to play any spec that you want, or any build that you want with Elemental. Both the fire builds and the lightning builds both greatly benefit, especially from that 2-piece set bonus. And the 2-piece is what was really, really powerful in season 1. The 4-piece less so, but both of these set bonuses, even though the mastery isn't great for AoE for lightning, this is a much better set bonus to allow more build diversity while playing Elemental. Yes, it's boring, but you could play whatever you want with this. That's really the crux of it. I do have one issue here, is this is how it was for the majority of Season 1. Actually, this was how it was for all of Season 1. But then in Season 2, they nerfed the 2-piece because it was so powerful that people were doing 2-piece at the beginning of Aberrus and wanting to be 2-piece for the beginning of Aberrus, so they nerfed it. So we have to keep in mind that when they say Season 1 set bonus, it's important to keep in mind that Blizzard isn't always consistent with this kind of stuff. They might mean this version as it is seen on Wowhead right now. I don't have any pieces in my bag, otherwise I'd show you in game. But what they did is they nerfed it to be only 3% stacking up to 3 times. That is a difference between a max value of 9% or 25% on your spenders. That is a huge difference. So keep that in mind. I do think they mean this one because that was only changed in Season 2 as a way to prevent people from doing that 2-piece stuff. But I do feel like it's worth warranting that because they don't say anything on this page at all about what they mean by each set. It's just 1, 2, and 3. So little story here about like how you should vote. So in college, one of the ways that you can make a little bit of extra cash was doing these behavioral science kind of experiments where you were given these tasks that you could do and people would observe you and see what your choices were. One of them, what I remember very vividly, was each person was given $10, and it was anonymously. You didn't know who your person you were paired with was, and you could choose to give all of that $10 to the other person, and they would receive it as double. So what you could do in theory is each person could double it and send it to the other person. Each person walks away with $20. Bingo, bango, bongo. You've made a good amount of money that day for doing nothing. However, what you could also do is hold on to all of it if you wanted to, and then you would keep your $10, and then you'd just be taking whatever they gave you. So even if they gave you the full 20, then you'd be walking away with $30, and you would have helped that guy out not at all. So it kind of reminds me of that. I know it's maybe a stretch there, but it's kind of like that because this is hard lightning, and this is hard fire. And this is either one. And it'd be really easy for me to just tell you, everyone just go vote for Season 1 set bonus. But here's the problem. If you have enough people who, if I'm only reaching the people who are like playing the lightning build, like let's say like a lot of my viewers like lightning, it means that we're splitting the vote between these two, and then the fire one gets bigger, right? That one just wins out because we split the vote there. If you vote for one of these two things, you're voting for a very specific playstyle, and this one isn't. But it could just be splitting that vote. I don't know. So you could be taking away votes from what you actually want to be playing to try to be the nice guy. And that's where I think it gets really confusing. I think myself, I am going to be voting for Season 1 because I'll make it work one way or the other. I'm not a big fan of Season 3. I'll be real honest. I think there's too many issues in the fire side of the tree. There's too many issues that come up with fire, whether it be flame shock spread or capping at 6 targets as your effective AoE. I'm just not a fan. The playstyle as a whole isn't terrible, but it is very frustrating when you can't get things to line up the way you wanted to. In Season 2, it's not even an argument. Season 2 was, as far as Elemental goes, was where Elemental was the best, not just in terms of performance, but being able to cover all sorts of situations. You were able to do very good AoE and single target in the same build. And even if in the pure single target build, you still had decent cleave. In Season 3, you have a little bit more build variety to some degree, especially in Raid, you had more build variety. But what you're actually good at is much more limited. Like, one of the biggest issues right now, and if we're talking about just right now in Emir Zone, one of the biggest issues for Elemental Shaman, especially if you're pushing harder content, mythic or high mythic, is a boss like Tendril. Tendril's awful for Elemental, on any difficulty for that matter. Whereas if you could just take the Season 2 set bonus and bring that to Tendril, that would actually make us pretty decent at that fight. The only thing that would be really, really worse at with the Season 2 bonus would be a boss like Council in Emir Jasil. So, like, it has that give and take. They work completely differently. My opinion, Season 2 is a much more rounded, in terms of like what it's able to actually deal with. Season 2 is a better form of Elemental. It performed a lot better. We even saw one or two, I think we did see a Elemental Shaman in the, was that the Great Push? It was in the Great Push. I believe it was Tokaros played Elemental. Didn't get very far, but it still had representation in the MDI with that version of Elemental Shaman. I would bet money we do not see a single Elemental Shaman in Season 3 when they get around to doing the MDI. It just does not fit that kind of a event at all. Not that that matters. I'm just saying, like, where we're seeing representation. We actually saw representation in Season 2. We had 2 Elemental Shamans in the top 4 guilds for Race to World First. Liquid even said they would have considered running one had their Elemental Shaman actually been available that day. So there are things to consider. I'm being so biased right now. I understand that. I'm aware of my own biases. I like the Season 2 build better than I like the Season 3 build. But like I said, I will be voting for the Season 1 build because it does allow for people to kind of pick what they want. Even though most people were playing Fire in Season 1, there were still plenty of people that were actually getting decent results out of doing a full Lightning build. There were videos out there, especially like the Taiwanese servers have almost like their own meta. And they were the ones like really pushing that Lightning build forward. Like, that's basically all that they were playing. It was slightly different, I think, from what it was in Season 2. But they were playing that pretty much the entire season and getting extremely good results, very, very high keys with those Lightning builds. So you can do it in Season 1. We also got a ton of buffs going into Season 2 that like retroactively made the Lightning build better in Season 1 as well. So there's something else there to take away. We're probably more balanced for it to be even better going back to that Season 1 build. Another thing that I want to point out is that we have more stats. Like, we have a much larger stat budget than we did in Season 1. If I remember correctly, you could only get up to around, it was either like 50 or 60% mastery in Season 1, and we were playing Fire builds predominantly in Raid. You're going to easily be able to get up to what will probably, I'm guessing the hard cap in Season 3 or Season 4 will probably be for Fire builds if we go in that direction with the Season 1 set bonus. If the Season 1 set bonus happens, the hard cap will be around like that 92.5% because of the way the set bonus works, because of the bottom of that set bonus giving you what is it? Just make sure I don't want to get this wrong. Oh, 7.5%. So that would get you the rest of it up to 100% before any kind of trinket procs or anything like that. So there, it will be very easy to get yourself up to that 100%. I don't think that matters. That's not really how simming works, but you can do stuff like that, which will allow you to get a ton of overloads. So something else to consider as well. I think it will be, I was about to say, I think it'd be fun. It's not, the set bonus isn't fun. Let's call a spade a spade. The set bonus isn't fun. It's more of what it represents and what it allows. And it allows you to actually pick the way you want to play. And I think that's what's really important, at least to me. Because like I said, the Shaman community has gotten very polarized. And it's turned into Fire versus Lightning. And this is the only one that allows everyone to be happy. If you hate Ice Fury, then you're not going to be happy if this one wins. If you hate the Lava Burst spam, you're not going to be happy if Season 3 wins. Season 1 is the only thing that allows everyone to be happy. So that's the one that's going to have my vote. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting right now. I really hope this doesn't turn out to be something like voting for a third-party presidential candidate in the United States. Hopefully, that's not how this turns out, and I just throw my vote away. But that's how I feel. I would like everyone to be as happy as possible, to be able to choose the build they want to play, despite the fact that it's not necessarily as gameplay impacting. It allows you to at least play how you want to play, and that's what's important to me. For as many people to be happy as possible, even if it's just a middle happy, I feel like that's better than just kind of splitting the player base and getting half the elemental shaman community mad. So that's how I feel, guys. One way or the other, you'll notice that this says it closes in 6 days. I don't know why they did it so short. But yeah, get your votes in now, because this is going to be over before you know it, and you want your voice to matter. So that's pretty much it for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the discussion. If you want to add something to that, if you want to add your take to it, I would love to hear what everyone else has to say in the comments. Or if you want to talk to me directly, you can reach me in my Discord. That will also be in the description. I also stream at Twitch at twitch.tv/Renmark, so feel free to give me a follow there if you're interested in that. But other than that, guys, that's it for the day, and I will see you in the next video.